You're listening to Three's a Crowd, the North East Footy Podcast, with Rye for Borough, Steve for Newcastle United, and Ted for Sunderland.
Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening around this beautiful world of ours. Hope you're all fantastic, safe, and well. Welcome to Three's a Crowd, the only North East football podcast where we talk Newcastle, Middlesbrough, and Sunderland every single week right here on the best place in the world. At Invictus, at Ted the Mackerman, at NFC Matters for all of your special needs. Lads, it's been a massive week. We haven't heard much from Steve. We're going to today. Don't you worry about that. We've heard a lot from Ted. We'll probably try and mute him a little bit today so Steve can get a word in. And then we will talk about Middlesbrough as well, as we always do. Plus, we got some international football as well to cover. Hope you're all fantastic, safe and well. Hope you've all enjoyed a footballless week in club football land. Obviously, we've had England play. We've had Australia play as well. We might touch on a bit of that because there's no games, obviously, to cover. Well, there was a game last weekend. I'm not sure. Was there a game last weekend, lads? I don't... Was there? There might have been. There might have been. Yeah. Make sure you consider liking and subscribing. Check out all three of us. And thank you so much, Hells, for my birthday wishes. It is indeed my very birthday. Thank you. Thank you.
Happy birthday, son.
Free merch in the chat.
Happy 50th, mate. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It is my birthday today, the 29th of March. I am turning 27. I know I don't look it, right? 27. Okay, maybe it's a little bit older than that, but I'm not going to reveal it. Let's come to you firstly, Teddy boy, because you're going to be on a high, mate. What a week it's been. Obviously, you've just been over across into the UK as well, mate. And you were there. You were thereabouts. You even got to have a bit of a cuddle with Steve Wraith, the makeup during the week, mate. But let's touch on it, mate. A massive derby win, 2 from 2 in your return to the Premier League at Steve Wraith and Newcastle United's expense. What a game, mate. What a performance. Robbie, everything. Tell me your initial reactions.
Well, firstly, as a happy birthday tribute, I was going to wear my training top. Then, out of respect, I wore the green and gold for you, mate. I know it's the Irish limited edition shirt, but yeah, I thought, look, we'll get the green and gold in for Rye's birthday today. Like, it's got to be done. So, all the best, mate. Obviously, we know you've got friends and family there, like, so we'll not keep you too long today. But let's talk about the football. Why not?
Yeah, why not, eh?
Yeah, so obviously arrived in the UK last Saturday. Found out that I was going to be watching it at the barbecue with Jill and Jeff, who were probably watching the podcast, and Dr. Mick as well, who you both know, my best mate. So I had to watch it with a bunch of magpies, which was interesting to say the least. I thought we got off to a very slow start. I mean, I feared the worst, after conceding the goal like what we did. In terms of 09 making another mistake, shall we say? I'm going to be honest about it. It is another mistake. Credit to the lad. He played very well for the rest of the game, but we can't keep doing that. We can't keep shooting ourselves in the foot and expect to be able to pull the game back because teams are going to start and suss us out. They really are. They've already started to second half of this season. After that, I mean, certainly we grew into the game as it went on. There was, a couple of the Geordies who I was sat watching the match with were actually saying, you're very much getting back into this game. You're still in it. A couple of them predicting a draw by the end of the game, which I would have snatched their hands off. After seeing the team news, you would take that because that back four was absolutely decimated.
And your form going into it, of course.
Well, that was a big thing, and I mean, I know Steve's always said that form goes out of the window in a derby, and my God, it really had to. But second half, I thought we played very well. I thought we competed well. I think we won the battle in midfield, and there was a couple of people said that as well. Charlie, the Geordie who's watching now, his message after the game was saying that's where the game was won, and obviously without Bruno and without Tonali as well. It makes a massive difference to Newcastle United. Of course it does. The two of to some of the best players in the Premier League for their position. So yes, you are going to miss them kind of players, but you can only play what you're given against. So yeah, I mean the equaliser, just tenacity following up. I thought it was a coolly taken goal, but Robbie for me and getting the winner is just deserves for a performance that. Wow, that for me was just incredible. That's one of the best number 9 performances I've seen in a Sunderland shirt. To absolutely batter 2 centre-backs for 90 minutes and bring others into play and be unselfish and do a lot of dirty work as a forward as well. You know, essentially Bobby is used as a battering ram and absolutely fantastic. He was incredible. The celebration said it all. I think he's very happy where he is.
Yeah,
to
not
get
wrong.
Toon fans actually saying to me after the game, "I wish we had him up front for us."
Yeah.
That's a huge compliment. You know, I know not all of them are going to agree with that, but hear that kind of comment.
Majority will.
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, when me and Steve sat down had our coffee and tea cake or his granola bowl, as he had, you know, to say that the money that was spent on Walter Marder. And then for Robbie to be brought in for like 20 million, that's just absolutely insane. So, yeah, all in all, very, very happy with the result. It's now a case of we almost didn't want the international break to come after that, but we're stuck with it now, and here we are. So, yeah, happy though. He's gone.
I'm here. Sorry, I'm here. I've got my little one still wishing me happy birthday. Look, Teddy boy, honestly, an emphatic win, honestly, and Robbie, incredible, mate. And what I could see, mate, was just pure elation. And now let's flip the coin. There's a lot of people in chat asking us to move on quickly, so we're going to try and do that for their sake because a lot of them, unfortunately and sadly, are Newcastle United fans. And our main man, Steve Wraith, mate, I was feeling for you. Look, last pod we were confident. I was confident for Newcastle going in. I thought after the back of the Barcelona, here we go with the small violin. After the back of the Barcelona loss, I thought going in it would be kind of like he's got the violin. I thought we would have an emphatic response from Newcastle. I mean, your summary of what you saw out there, mate, and obviously your initial response to, unfortunately, 2 from 2 in the derby.
Yeah, to be honest, I expected us to win, and it wasn't confidence which I felt was misplaced. I just genuinely felt Newcastle would be too good on the day, despite the fact we had injuries in midfield. I didn't expect Eddie Howe to, repeat the same mistakes that he had in previous games, i.e. playing, Walter Marder in midfield. But unfortunately, he did. He played Walter Marder in midfield, completely out of place. And that, for me, is the reason that we lost the derby. And it's as simple as that. Ted's already said it. Sunderland won it in midfield. It was more or less a 2 in midfield. And if you look at the stats, Joe Linton just does not play well in that kind of 2 in midfield formation because it wasn't 3, it was 2. And it just didn't work. Anthony Gordon was probably our man of the match. He gave it his all. He tried his best, but to no avail. Got his goal, took his goal well. But even that first, Newcastle turned up for 15 minutes of a derby. That was what was unacceptable. And our goal came from a Sunderland mistake. So, there was nothing to shout about, nothing to be pleased about. And, for me, it was disappointing. But we're used to it. And people who thought, Steve's not on social media, you've already said it. I've been quiet this week. It hasn't bothered us, mate. I've got to be honest. I haven't been like other people chewing themselves up. Mitch on our podcast was still very angry on Friday. Yeah. It didn't bother me. I was over it. I was over it as soon as I stepped foot in the Strawberry because when you're my age and you've been there, done it, and got the T-shirt. These things happen, and it's just you've just got to accept it and move on.
That's a great question right there, Steve. Are you still behind Howe, or are you over the fence?
I am, yeah. Because there's nobody can come in and do the job that Eddie Howe's doing at the moment. It hasn't been a very good season in the league. That's been the disappointment. The Premier League's been poor. There's loads of stats you could pull out and say this, that, and the other. But then on the flip side, how many teams would take a last 16 place in the Champions League, a semi-final in the Carabao Cup, fifth round in the FA Cup? It's all these kind of things where we could only dream of 5 years ago. So from my perspective, you've got to have a bit of common sense, really, and and take it on the chin. Next season we may not have European football. I hope that we do, but if we do have Europa, which is looking more likely, then it keeps you in that routine of playing games. 3 games a week. We need it. If we don't have European football next season, the likelihood is we'll have new players in. We'll have a better run. The Premier League will be a lot better, and we'll finish maybe in a Champions League position. Then you're back to square one again. You're back to square one where you're playing 3 games a week and you've got to adapt again, and the travel, and it's just, I don't want to be on that merry-go-round that Aston Villa and Newcastle have been on over the last couple of years, and Manchester United are on it now. Man United have had an easy season because of the lack of European football. However, they may struggle again next year. They might get found out next year. So it's a strange scenario. But getting back to the derby. Take your hat off to Robbie. He was a beast of a player on the day. That was his match. He'll be the man that they all talk about when people refer to that game. The goals from our perspective were disappointing. Tino Livramento comes on as a sub. We've blown smoke out of Tino Livramento's arse for the last couple of years. He let it down on Sunday. Watched that goal back, and he just wasn't bothered. That's basically what it looked like. He just wasn't bothered at all. He didn't make a move for it. Had he done anything in that, it diverted the ball, whatever, Newcastle wouldn't have conceded that goal and would have come away with probably what would have been an undeserved point. But yeah, it's done. It's dusted. The derbies are over for this season. Sunderland continue on a great run. If it hadn't been for Mitrovic, all those years back, it would have been 11 in a row, would have been talked about now. So I've got to be thankful for small mercies. But Sunderland have become a bogey team just as much as Brighton and Bournemouth and Newcastle, and that's worrying, really, from a Newcastle fan's perspective, because the passion's there from the fans. I think you saw that in abundance pre-match. The passion was there, the cauldron of an atmosphere was there from the fans. But those who stayed in the ground, to boo the players off as they did their traditional walk around the pitch, weren't happy and showed their feelings. And look, I don't agree with booing during the game. Yeah, there wasn't any of that. After the match, people pay their money; they can do what they want. What I do on a game like that, and what I did last week, was I keep an eye on the time, the extra time, and with 30 seconds to go, I made my way down out of my seat, and I'm not standing clapping the players off for that. It was ridiculous, and that's it. It's because of social media. Some of these echo chambers where people are being vile, nasty, horrible, cruel, delete where applicable. It's just all amplified, But for me, the better team won on the day. You've just got to accept it, and you move on. And let's hope Newcastle can find the recipe for success next year in the derby, because people are questioning whether Howe knows what it means. I've had questions into the podcast this week. People saying, does Howe get it? Does he understand what the derby means? Does he need to be going out more into the community and learning more about the community and getting it? But you can only lay the blame at Howe and Tyndall and Graham Jones's feet for the coaching and the tactics and what went wrong on the day. The players have to apply what they've been taught and what they've been, their instructions have to be, they have to be put into practice by the players on the day, and they just didn't do it. They didn't do it. It's definitely there's definitely something going on with the way that they play. There's definitely something going on in that dressing room, which is, Isaac was the start of it, but there's other things you can see it going on. There's players losing their rag with each other on the pitch. Steve Hasty's gone on about it on the Amigos for the last 4 or 5 weeks. We're playing this bizarre kind of zonal game as well, where you have to pass to somebody in that zone. So there's loads of things which I could pick apart. But look, Sunderland won the derby. Well done to them. And we've got to like sit on this now until next season and hope that we can finally break the curse.
I think it's obviously the feeling for me, and again, it's we'll get into Middlesbrough as well, but the feeling is, it's so much worse when you go into an international break as well, because there's no another game to focus on very quickly. You got to sit on this result for 2 weeks, unfortunately, and I think that's obviously a very sore point. And obviously, Newcastle United fans. I mean, I do see a lot of you on X and social media, and it has been absolutely crazy, some of the fallout to that, and some of the TikToks and some of the abuse and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, look, I always say that fans can be boisterous. They can, like you said, they pay their money, that you can react how you want. But as soon as you cross that line, and I mean racism, attacking someone personally, their family, whatever they're, anything like that, I think you cross the line. But I don't want to keep harping on it too much, Stephen. We'll move on quickly. But I just wanted to talk to you quickly about Tonali and Bruno obviously not being there. Different game on the day. I mean, we saw Tonali scoring for Italy just yesterday or the day before. I mean, seemingly being okay to play for Italy, but obviously not for Newcastle in the derby. I mean, you could look at that all day of the week. Are you seeing an exit for Tonali this summer like everyone's now reporting?
I mean, you see, everyone's now reporting it. Liam Kennedy used to do our podcast. He pushed it out there and said that he's got a clause in his contract, which if Newcastle don't get European football, then he could leave. He didn't say he was going to leave. So suddenly all the nationals who love an opportunity to stir the pot with Newcastle fans, jumped on it. Look, players have clauses in contracts. We know that. Bruno had a clause in his contract originally. Tonali will have one in his. And that's just the way it goes. And look, from my perspective, there's this transfer window in the summer is going to be huge. The fact that Tonali didn't play against the derby was Newcastle decided not to play him, which they didn't think he was fit enough. They watch him week in, week out. I guess Italy have got. Italy have to, we can't stop him going on international duty. Italy can call him up. He can go and play for Italy. If Italy's doctors and manager, etc., deems him fit enough to play, they can play him. And that was a huge game for Italy. They had to win. They had to get through. So, they've got the World Cups at stake and he's the best player. So, it was great to see him on the pitch, great to see him score a goal. And, hopefully, he stays fit and he can lead us into battle in our last 7 games because make no bones about it, Newcastle will still want, I would imagine, to finish in a European position. But the problem I think we've got is that we've got a lot of people who are banking on going to the World Cup, and psychologically they may have the flip-flops on and switch off. That's the problem.
Start pulling out the challenges and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, 1 or 2 of them have done that already. I think Gordon's been doing that all season, and I've said this week after week after week. I think Gordon, although his stats say he's had a great season, I mean, a lot of his goals have been penalties. He hasn't had a great season in the Premier League. His assists haven't been great, and he's gone missing in certain games. So I just, I think he's been doing it all season, protecting himself. He's had a run in the Newcastle team where he's been sent off and missed big games, and of course injured. As well, he has had niggling injuries. He's not going to want to miss this World Cup. This is his big opportunity, and he's got a seat on the plane. So he's certainly going to be one of those who I would be concerned about. Not maybe pulling his weight towards the back end of the season because we've got. Maybe in the players' minds, nothing to play for. Yeah. But you want to get into Europe. I'm not concerned about Tonali. I think we'll lose a big player, whether it's Tonali, whether it's Bruno, whether it's Tino Livramento. It could be any one of them. And Gordon's another one could go. But Newcastle have got a huge summer ahead, and
massive,
they need to be. It's going to be difficult to be quick in the summer because of the World Cup, because agents are reluctant to let players go because they know they can double their money if somebody's in the World Cup, and they can get a bit extra on their transfer fee if they have a good World Cup. But it's going to be an interesting ride this summer for Newcastle fans. I just hope it's not as frustrating as last year, with Isak.
Not wrong.
Oh, the irony that Isak has now been linked with a move to Barcelona in the summer.
Seen that.
Yeah, very crazy. Very, very crazy. Right, well, that's obviously both sets of thoughts for the derby. Obviously, we had Ted, the elated Mackham, and Steve. They're not too downhearted, but quick to move on. Steve Wraith as well. Let's talk about Middlesbrough as well. They had Blackburn. That was a game of football. On to the next topic. It was honestly the most boring game of football I've ever seen, lads. It was a 0-0 draw. Teams have found a way to defeat Kim Hellberg's overly possessive football. I love Kim Hellberg. I love what Middlesbrough are doing. We've got no Hayden Hackney now, potentially now for the next 6 to 7 game, lads. And what is happening is every single team. Now, don't get me wrong. In the championship, Ted, you will know this obviously from last season. When you come against teams in that sort of that 16 and below, they like to do the 5 at the back because a point is better than none. And especially when they're seeing Middlesbrough in second or up the top of the table, when we come to play, we seemingly get this very defensive half of football. Blackburn were no different. They had 5 at the back. They weren't really wanting to play out of their own half. They were happy to sit back and throw 63 men in the box. Where they got 63 men from, I'm not too sure. We're still looking for them. But it's absolutely incredible what this sort of style of play is to combat Kim Hellberg's possessive style of football. And it's been incredible to watch because it hasn't been incredible to watch. It's been absolutely disgusting. It's been a bore draws. It's been absolutely frustrating. It's been Middlesbrough with 90% of possession, but not being able to get it into the area and not being able to do anything with it. Now, obviously, good teams find a way and great players find a way through, but Middlesbrough aren't able to do that at the moment. And unfortunately, we don't have a solid striker at the moment that's on 20 goals, in this season. We're doing this with goals from the likes of like Alan Brown, Hayden Hackney, Riley McGree in the midfields and stuff like that. And we're sharing the goals around. Obviously, we had Matty Targett pop up with a double just a couple of weeks ago, but we don't have an out-and-out striker. And I think Middlesbrough are paying the price dearly for that. We are sitting second. We have got 7 games to go, much like you guys in the Premier League. We've got a tough run. We've got this Friday, Good Friday, Millwall at 12:30. The problem with that, lads, is Riley McGree is currently next to me in Melbourne. He's our star player. He's got to get back from Australia to England. And we've got Aidan Morris, who's also our star midfielder over in America. So 2 long turnarounds from playing on Wednesday towards Tuesday to get back to Middlesbrough for a 12 o'clock kickoff on Friday in the UK. So it's going to be very interesting, and it's going to be very interesting to see how Kim Hellberg can line up this Middlesbrough squad to get around this low block defensive 7-2-1, exactly what Borough philosophy is saying, because it's frustrating, and it's frustrating that we aren't seemingly. It's not that fact, Ted, and I'll come to you, mate. It's not the fact that Borough aren't learning, and it's not the fact that we're not trying. It's we just can't beat the low block, and I'm not too sure when we had 38 shots against Blackburn. Maybe not of them on target, but we had 89% possession up to the 72nd minute. I mean, I'm not sure what else we can do except hopefully that the ball goes in.
Yeah, it's about finding a way past that, because look, I can kind of understand it. We've done the same on occasion in the Premier League where we've put the low block in place. We've made ourselves very, very difficult to beat. You've got to do that, because certainly in terms of the Premier League, you need to stay in that division. You can't go out and play expansive football against Arsenal because they'll absolutely destroy you. And there's plenty of sides in that division that'll do that. If we'd done the same against Newcastle, if we'd done the same, I could go on and on, right the whole through list of the whole division. If you open yourselves up too much to it, you're going to get annihilated. And where Blackburn are right now, and where the likes of Oxford United, who came and did the very similar thing, they do not want to go down into League One, mate, because that is absolute quicksand. There are so many good championship teams that are in League One. It's a horrendously difficult division to get. Oh, man. Yeah, it's a new one as well. It's with the pipe as well, man.
Keeps the timing out.
Turns me stomach. Listen, I think this international break's good timing for Kim, to be honest. Yes, he's without a couple of his players through international duty. Where did I see? Let me just find it. Where was it? Borough philosophy, what are you smoking? I actually think Hackney should be in the England World Cup squad. I really do. You agree, right? Well, Rye might agree with you. I certainly don't, mate. I think me and Steve have got more chance of making the England squad in midfield than what he has. He's a million miles off right now. Let's be honest. And to be honest, he needs to get back from that injury. He also needs to. It's players like Hackney that need to show up and be creative. They need to find that spark, that bit of flair to break these defenses down. It is possible to break them down. We've seen it a couple of times as well, where the good sides always find a way through it, and whether that's coaxing them out of their shell and sort of trying to look a bit more vulnerable, whether it's playing out from the back so that the press onto your defence and keepers, like what Newcastle did with their opening goal against us. So yeah, listen, there's ways around it. This time in the international break is gold for him. It's coming at a great time for Middlesbrough to have a reset. And all right, he might not get a chance to work with all of the players, but at least he's getting some fresh ideas in there, work with what he's got, and then once obviously everybody's back in place, that's when you can actually start and work on these fresher ideas. I still maintain, I've said it since before Christmas, I still think Middlesbrough go. I absolutely have no doubt about it. You mentioned about strikers, mate. It's not always about that, to be honest. Everybody will say, well, we need a 20-goal a season striker. Yeah. Where are you going to find one of them for less than 60 million? Because it doesn't happen anymore. Or if it does, you're talking absolute mega money for it.
Yeah.
So it's not about that. I think it's fair to say, but between the three of us, our three clubs, the goals have been pretty much shared out amongst the team all season.
Yeah.
It's been different players each game. So yeah, mate, it's about finding a way through. I think it'll suit Borough to actually have those goals shared amongst the team anyway. There's less pressure on a front man. Remember when we had Ross Stewart and everybody was relying on him? As soon as we lost him to injury, we were screwed. With the outlook that all three of us got now, you're not reliant on one man getting all your goals. So there's time, mate. As much as it's frustrating Middlesbrough. It's Borough philosophy. I think we can all agree with that this season.
Not wrong. Not wrong.
You'll find a way through it, mate. You'll find a way through it. I fully expect Middlesbrough to come through and do the business.
Yep, it's going to be obviously 7 games to go. Massive, massive potential and for promotion here on the line for Borough. Newcastle try to make something, to get back into the European spot and dare to dream for Sunderland. I mean, I dare say, Teddy boy, and I just want to touch on this before we get to everyone's favourite cat, Troll of the Week. In terms of ambition now for the next 7 games, this is something that I wanted to come to you and ask you about. So we've got Newcastle, who are arguably now, they're out of all their cups. They are pushing now to try and get into that 6th, 7th, 5th mark to try and get European football again at Newcastle United. Obviously, they've got the players to do it. They've got the squad to do it. That's their dream. That's what they need. I think if they don't get European football again for next season, there's, obviously the budget and everything comes down. Middlesbrough are in 2nd. They're pushing for promotion. That's the goal. We got 7 games to go to get promotion. Sunderland, on the other hand, have kind of already achieved their goal of staying in the Premier League. And I dare say the 7 games to go, it's just about getting through. Is that, would you argue any different?
I think we can actually start and enjoy it a little bit now. The fans will never enjoy it. We'll always be on edge. But I think the players themselves will kind of, the shackles are up a bit. The pressure of that derby game is huge, absolutely huge. And you get celebrations like that when they get that. It's been a mental and physical battle. Yeah. Now it's about look at the next game. You got Spurs coming to the Stadium of Light, and to be honest, Spurs must be absolutely dreading this because to see what we're capable of doing, we should have beat them down. I was going to call it White Hart Lane. Let's call it that. For who cares? They're a championship club soon, anyway. Listen, this chance. I think the players will enjoy it. There'll be less pressure on them now because we've got the 43 points. That's absolutely brilliant. Pretty much assured of safety now, unless there's an absolute disaster. I doubt it though. So listen, we look forward and we start and build on that. I take into account what Blue Rhythm Boy said a little earlier in the show about Sunderland now have to face losing players this summer. I think it'll be difficult for them to kick on. I disagree. I honestly, I mean, getting into the top half of the table would be an absolute result. A top 10 finish. Yeah. That says to me, players are going to want to stick around. And if they don't, we've done some clever business. We've given Dan Ballard a longer contract, so we get financially very, very well rewarded if we sell players like that. We're not a soft touch anymore. I'm going to semi-quote one of the old owners, but it's a quote I absolutely love. If the piss take party's over, but we're not going to sell players for next to nothing and get absolutely screwed for it. It doesn't happen anymore. And even if we did lose players, I've got every faith in that setup that we've got now that we will replace with better players. It's when we've got a system in place like what we have now, I think the future's looking incredibly positive for us as long as we keep this going, keep this momentum going. Regis Labrise needs to be next on for a contract. He's still developing as a coach. He still needs a plan B and a plan C. Yeah. But what he does do, and I mean, that's the most animated and most emotional I've seen him so far, was the final whistle last weekend.
Yeah.
He's got it. And we need to hold on to somebody like him because he is top draw, absolutely top draw. And it seems the players really, really respond to him and his coaching team. So, listen, let's enjoy the next 7 games. We'll end up where we end up. I'm not going to say like, all right, next target is Europe. Yeah. I'm sure the club probably have that, in their minds a little bit. Yeah. But let's just see where we end up, and we'll take it from there. But no reason why we can't just go and enjoy it and have a top 10 finish.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we've reached the halfway mark of the Three's a Crowd podcast, the only Northeast football podcast. It is time to sit back, relax, charge your glass, because it's time for everyone's favourite Troll of the Week.
Breaking news, the Chinese man who invented the camera lens sadly has passed away. Rest in peace, Zhu Min. And friendly reminder, place all current boyfriends and girlfriends at the edge of your family photos just in case future cropping is required. And I do love animal pictures, lads. Look at this. You've got one of these, Ted, in Cyprus.
To be honest, I think he needs a karma chameleon.
He definitely does. He definitely does. That's the last time I say surprise me to my barber.
Oh my gosh.
And here's Mavis from Coronation Street, an old photo of a restock in the jazz mags, lads.
Mayfair, classy one, classy.
Jack Vance, Servants of the Wank, is a book I'm reading at the moment. Not what I thought it was going to be about, to be honest. Yep. And here's the Prince Andrew commemorative coin. Oh, newly released.
Oh,
how not to wear a Disney sweater. And the other day I went to a paraplegic strip club, lads. The place was crawling with pussy.
Oh, no. Okay. Oh, no.
Airline crew rushed to hospital after being given weed-laced gummies by passenger. Ironic after what we were talking about before, Ted.
Yeah, not wrong.
And I take spare bolts on roller coasters. And as the ride starts, I say to the guy in front of me, "Excuse me, these have just come out of your seat."
Oh, Jesus Christ.
First shown, Tuesday the 10th of February. Colin Murray, Rachel Riley and Susie Dent host with Mel Schilling in Dictionary Corner. I'm not sure about the warning about this programme. Right? Dangerous times. And girls have a hard time choosing where to eat because the last time they chose, they doomed all of humanity.
Fair play.
The inventor of autocorrect died. The funnel will be held tomorrow.
Far out.
And what about this one for a funeral? Mourn home. Toilet signs always good. And I was just viewing a woman's profile on the dating website, lads. Blonde, 33 from London, great personality, 5'3", green eyes. I mean, don't get us wrong, I like short women, but 3 green eyes? No wonder she can't find a date. And after 12 attempts, my wife finally passed the driving test. I asked her what I could get her for a celebration gift. Just something cheap to run around in, she said. So I bought her a pair of trainers from Lidl. And I wanted to shade my private area, and I used my phone camera as a mirror. It all went great until I started getting likes on Facebook. Lookalikes, Bert Cobain.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Jeez.
And another one from Viz, lads. Monk Walk 2000. Are you walking like a right southern twat? Quick, hurried steps or an effeminate gait? shoulders not rocking from side to side. Well, learn how to aggressively approach paparazzi, walk through Manchester Arndale Centre, and be a right knob at music award ceremonies. Monk Walk 2000 has courses for you. Our instructors have over 20 years' experience walking around the streets of Manchester like right cocky beep. So there you go. Interesting stuff. Well, I've got a few football-related ones, lads. This was great. Come try stealing Real Madrid. I dare you. Your Honda is safe, bro. Evan Ferguson, your aunt teached me last year. Not as fine as teachings, I see, says Evan Ferguson. Breaking reports claiming Manchester City can face a 60-point deduction. If confirmed, they drop to the bottom of the table and are relegated. That is just worth putting up there just for the crack. Let's hope that happens. Happy birthday, Mikel Arteta. Happy birthday, Mikel. Ryan said, finally celebrating something. And City celebrating like they just won the UCL. Embarrassing club, man. Liam replied, you celebrate like this when you get a corner. And Chelmsford City, well done to them. They've offered Spurs fans a chance to come and enjoy non-league football on Friday the 3rd of April. It's only a pound to get in. Obviously trying to bend them into lower league football. And I hate it, lads, when women like this post photos on social media because she knows for a fact that men are looking at her and not the giraffes. I mean, it's ridiculous. And last two, lads. 1982, Roy Hodgson became
incredible. This
2026, Roy Hodgson became Bristol City manager.
It's incredible.
Wow.
And finishing off on a truly sexist troll of the week this week, a huge props to Emma Jones. She's absolutely crushed it and cemented herself as one of the UK's leading female sports presenters. We disclaim all of those tweets. They were all sent in by people who asked us to put them on. So you can't blame Ted, you can't blame Ryan, and you certainly can't blame me. And Jules always asks us to get the cat.
We keep saying it, don't we? Every
we're
week.
Taken off air.
We keep saying that every week. This is the very last show, but we seemingly still rock.
Well done for Jules. I'll blame Jules. If you want to contact Jules with any complaints, just give her a shout.
Yeah, that's at Jules372. We'll get your email address out there as well. Please direct. She's becoming our HR manager for Three's a Crowd. Welcome back to Three's a Crowd, the only Northeast football podcast. Newcastle, Middlesbrough, Sunderland, bit of rivals, but a bit of banter. We bring all three together and we have a bit of a laugh. We've looked back at the massive derby, Sunderland taking the Cherries 2 out of 2 this season. Middlesbrough facing bore-all draws to the rest of the season, hoping to find a way through. We've got an international break at the moment. We've got no club football, I should say, this weekend, obviously leading back into an Easterfield weekend, especially for Middlesbrough, who kick off on Friday. I want to talk about that, and then I want to talk about some internationals, and I want to talk about some transfer rumours that are happening as well in the second half. But if you could, please consider liking and subscribing. It really does help the channels grow. At Invictus, at Ted the Mackham, and at NUFC Matters. Make sure you comment as well of your favourite moment from the derby as well, if you did attend. Ladies and gentlemen, we have got...
Leaving the ground.
There you go, top comment from this lady. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got Friday football, Good Friday football. Middlesbrough taking on Blackburn at... we're taking on Millwall, thank goodness me. No, we're taking on Millwall. And it's going to be an interesting game, this, lads. And I think I touched on it just before the break as well. Middlesbrough have got the 12:30 p.m. kickoff against Millwall on Good Friday. The problem with that, 7 players have gone away from Middlesbrough's first-team squad for international fixtures across the world. Riley McGree, as I said, who has been our star player in the recent weeks, he has gone, and he's got bloody Smallville Island in there. It's going all the way to Australia. Aidan Morris is going all the way to America. I'm worried, lads. I'm worried. Millwall sitting at 4th position at the moment, but they're equally tied with Ipswich in 3rd. A loss here will see Middlesbrough drop out of the top 2 with 7 games to go. No more international breaks. And it couldn't come at a worse time for Middlesbrough, given that we've got no Hayden Hackney and no international players, because I don't think they're just going to make it back in time, nor if they do make it back in time, are they going to have time to train and do anything like that. So what Kim Helberg does for a 12:30 p.m. kickoff on Good Friday is going to be very interesting. Lads, I'm not looking forward to this one. In fact, I'm very, very worried. Teddy boy, let's come to you, mate. Middlesbrough taking on Millwall, Good Friday, 12:30 p.m. kickoff, midday, mate, but likely without 7 to 8 international players who just won't make it back in time due to logistics.
That and the fact you've got to factor in for the fact that Josh Coburn's going to score against you because players always score against their old clubs.
Yeah.
And Anthony Patterson obviously playing very well for Millwall right now on loan from Sunderland, of course. Some of the saves I've seen him pulling off, honestly, he's a top end championship player. Probably, any other club coming up from the championship will probably have him as their number one. Let's be honest with him. He's having a fantastic time of it, mate. So I think it's going to be a ridiculously tough game for you. It's given the fact, and I'm taking the mick with the violin and all that because you've got players missing, but it is a serious one, mate. And it's especially when you've got those longer distance international players. Your home nations ones, they're back in the same day. They're reintegrated back into the team. Yeah. Something that Regis Labrise talks about is connection with the squad and connection with what the plan is for that game. And I totally get it, because those players who are coming back from long distances, they might not get back like Thursday afternoon. They've got a game on Friday. You can't expect them to you don't know what sort of condition they're going to come back in. Have they had some sort of niggle while they've been away? Have they taken a knock? Have they cramped up on the plane? It's all these sort of questions that need answering. And of course, to deploy tactics, if you are going to try something new and try and sort of break down these low blocks, then you need those players back in time. And this is going to be a challenge for Middlesbrough. It's one of those where I think if you came away from this one with a 0-0 draw, mate, you'd be quite happy with it and take it. And just keep them at bay and keep that points difference the same. But I've been really, really impressed by Millwall this season. I don't like them as a club for obvious reasons. I don't think anybody does like them. No. That's all they can sing about is how nobody likes them. That's the one song that Millwall have. I was careful which finger I'm using there, by the way. But yeah, listen, a tough challenge, mate. And I wouldn't like to call this one if I'm perfectly honest, but I know you're probably going to say I'm going to have to give you some sort of prediction on it. But the only thing I can say is they're not a team that plays the low block, which actually could work out in your favour. That being said, depending on what you turn out, and I think there's still a good enough squad there. The likes of Alan Brown should be still fit and ready to play. There's enough experience at the back to keep them contained as well and keep somebody like Coburn contained. Let's be honest, he might be in half decent form right now, but your defenders know how to handle him. They've played against him, they know what he's all about. So I think this has got draw written all over it, mate, which actually suits you because it just keeps the points difference the same. You got Ipswich coming up shortly after that. Is that right? Yeah,
we certainly do. Yeah, so Middlesbrough have got Millwall away. Obviously, they're sitting in fourth. We then have Swansea away, obviously, as well. Middlesbrough then have Portsmouth at home, and then it's that Ipswich Town game on the 19th of April.
Yeah, so they're coming thick and fast. This is squeaky bum time of the season, as Alex Ferguson used to call it. You take a draw here, mate, get everybody back and focus on the Ipswich game, and that puts a bit more distance between you and that chasing packet game.
Mate, get us into the Premier League. You guys don't have to play till the 12th of April. We got 2 games in between now and then, for goodness sake. And you guys got the Easter weekend off. We play this Friday and next Tuesday. It's incredible. Steve, obviously, Middlesbrough...
That's the FA Cup, isn't it? The FA Cup straight after...
No, we're not in the Cup anymore. It's a championship fixture as well. So we've got Middlesbrough versus Millwall this Friday on Good Friday. And then because the championship just loves football, we then play championship football again. I think it's Easter Monday, for a Tuesday morning kickoff for me. But it's the Swansea away. So we got 2 games over the Easter long weekend, which Premier League don't. So that championship football, you know what it's like. It comes thick and fast. So we've got 2 games between now and you guys kicking another football, which is absolutely incredible. But time will tell whether we'll get through it. We will have a podcast between now and, maybe we will not. We might have the long weekend off. We'll see how we go. But Swansea, obviously, after this one. But Steve, mate, Middlesbrough, Millwall, potentially a dropping out of the top two for Middlesbrough, given a loss, because Millwall could overtake us here, given thanks to our results. I mean, the stakes don't get higher, but as I was saying to Ted, and I was kicking off earlier about, mate, we're going to be doing it without most of our internationals who have just literally travelled too far away from Middlesbrough.
It's a 6-pointer, isn't it, this one? The first of 2 6-pointers for Borough. And, look, these are the games you've got to win. If you want to come up second, you've got to beat Millwall, you've got to beat Ipswich, you've got to beat the teams around you. Coventry, the champions elect now. So, you look at those 2 games that you've got coming up, and if you don't win them, you don't deserve to finish second. You're going to be in the playoffs, and you've got to take your chances then. And then you would wonder whether, Borough decide to do what Sunderland did last year, which is lure all that people into a false sense of security. Yeah, look how crap we are, and then do the business when it came to the actual games themselves. So resting players, giving people that kind of coaching and in the build up to the playoffs, no matter who you're going to play. Maybe that's what Borough might have to go through, but it's in your hands at the moment. The Millwall game is going to be tough. There's no givens in the Championship, and if you let your standards drop, you're going to get punished. So, I think. I mean, I've been quite confident about Borough, and it has been a bit misplaced, I think, this season. But surely to God, the players who are there are going to want to be part of the team in those big games coming up at the end of the season if you end up in the playoffs. So those who are stepping in, if there's players jet lagged, tired, aren't as fit as they should be when they come back from international duty, then you would imagine there's got to be players who are going to want to step in and play in those big games and get themselves on a platform, because if Middlesbrough miss out on automatic, and they do end up in the playoffs, and you get to the playoff final at Wembley, then you're on the world platform, you're on the world stage, and these players get a chance to showcase themselves, but also, it's an opportunity really for them to get Borough back in the big time. So I think you'll beat them. I think it'll be 1-0. I'm gonna go for a 1-0 win. I think it'll be tight, but I think a 1-0 win for Borough, and you'll be smiling after that, mate.
Teddy boy, I'm actually going for a Middlesbrough 2-0 win. I just think that Middlesbrough have a way of winning the games that they're not expected to and losing the ones they're expected to win. And I think against Millwall that it doesn't need much convincing of the players to get up for this one. I think there will be some players out, but I think we'll see some star performances from some players that have been on the fringe because they've been busting to get into this team. But Kim Hellberg stuck to a very consistent sort of style. But the likes of Alan Brown will still be out there. He's obviously just travelled away to represent as well. Congratulations, Alan Brown, getting another call-up thanks to his success. I mean, the likes of Matt Targett and all that sort of stuff, you're still going to have a sprinkling of good players in this squad. And I still think, funny enough, maybe I'm delusional and I've had too much birthday cake, but I think that Middlesbrough will still be able to beat Millwall at home.
It's a strange way to call bigger. I'm not going to jinx you. I'm not going to go for the third person to say win. So I'll go for a 1-1 draw, but expecting and hoping for a Middlesbrough win.
Thank you, mate. We appreciate it. We will see how we go. Middlesbrough Good Friday. Happy Easter to each and every one of you out there as well. Let's talk about quickly just international football. I know it's not everyone's favourite topic, but England obviously playing over this break in there. What is the World Cup? I guess the opener to it almost. You're sort of seeing what England is going to be thereabouts. You've got Australia also playing. They're off to the World Cup as well in the USA. Teams seemingly using these friendlies as a bit of a tester, maybe seeing some of these fringe players. England taking a squad of 35. Congrats, Jason Steele. It's going to be very interesting to see what England line up with when they do end up coming. But unfortunately, it was a pretty poor performance yesterday. Ben White getting a goal against Uruguay. I'm not sure if either of you watched it. Teddy boy, did you watch the England game?
Nope.
Steve, did you watch it?
Nope.
Fair enough. England 1-1 with Uruguay. Ben White, the goal scorer there. I mean, the big news out of it was really that James Trafford was the starting goalkeeper. Whether that means anything for Jordan Pickford, who was on the bench, I don't think so. I think, again, it's those types of players that are getting, some game time in. Jordan Henderson was back in out there. The big thing as well that for me to come out of it, and I want to touch on and get your lads thought about this, is Tuchel said that Jordan Henderson, albeit due to his age, is too good of a person to leave out of the World Cup squad because how he is in the dressing room. Do you think, as a professional footballer, you would want to be selected, knowing that you're probably not going to play, but because the coach thinks you're too good to have around the dressing room? Teddy, I'll come to you first, mate. You've had an illustrious career. I'm putting you, in a position of Jordan Henderson here. You're a fantastic footballer. You want to play for your country. You've got another World Cup to do it. The coach says, mate, come, because we need you in the dressing room because you're just an absolute lad on the bants. But we're probably not going to get you on the boots. How do you respond to that? Because that's exactly what Tuchel's saying about Jordan Henderson.
I think if it happened to a newer, younger player saying, like, sort of, come with us, you're not going to play, but we like you, we like having you around, I don't think it would go down as well. But Henderson's a bit more old school, mate. He has got some class about him, and he does bring an awful lot of leadership. He's led Liverpool through another one of their most successful eras. And he's a hard-working lad. He's a good pro, a seriously good pro. So if you can have someone like that who's a good influence around some of the younger players, and how to behave accordingly. Jesus Christ, that's a squeeze box. Accordingly, yes. I've had nothing to drink, whereas Ryan has. So listen, I can see why Tuchel wants him there, but. Look, it's another space though where if I was one of those fringe players, that's not going to go to the World Cup, but playing well in the Premier League as a midfielder, you can kind of maybe feel a little bit hard done by with it. It is what it is. He's a good pro to have around. The question mark for me is well, Tuchel should be creating an atmosphere in the changing room himself and putting the coaching system in place. Whether it's with view to maybe having Henderson as part of the coaching setup once he retires from the game, I don't know. But I think Henderson will go because he's one of those that he wears the England badge with a lot of pride, and he'll want to do it, mate. He'll absolutely want to. Jules taking the mick out with the accordions. Thanks, Jules. Thank you.
Steve, obviously, Jordan Henderson likely to be picked purely on the way he is around the players, more of a coach or a mentor than a player, but will take up one of those playing spots potentially that Tuchel's going to have to whittle down, as Jules has said in the chat as well. I know it's not everyone's favourite topic, mate, but would you want to be selected based on how you are around the playing group or off the pitch more than you are on?
I was getting a free holiday to America. I mean, I wasn't going to have to run around in that sun. I'd be over the moon. So yeah, I'd take the job if it was offered to me. I mean, is it going to stop? Is it going to stop like a player who deserves to go to the World Cup going? I think that's probably the downside. If he's actually going to be a squad player, but he's not expected to play, then I do feel that's a bit strange. But yeah, I mean, Jason Steele, Dave's put in the chat, that's been called up. He's not going to play, is he? He doesn't even play for Brighton. So I mean, there's always strange selections as we build up to it. We know that the squad is going to be whittled down, and I mean, the 6 Newcastle players were selected. Ramsdale's being sent back now. Yeah. He was part of the original squad.
Yep.
Harvey Barnes called up, which is. I mean, we have got a shortage of left-hand side players, but yeah, Tino Livramento, he's been poor since he's returned from injury. Is he going to go back in? So I don't know. There's lots to be decided. You would imagine out of Newcastle's players, Dan Burn and Anthony Gordon will be the guarantees on the plane, but the rest are all fighting for a position. Nick Pope will feel devastated. He's lost his place in the Newcastle team, and he was a part of the England squad and England set up for quite a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's. I don't pay much attention to them until we get to the actual tournaments. Yeah. That's it, really. To be honest, yeah. Barnes was good.
Starter for you, Steve. Lewis Hall, bang on England left back.
No, I don't think so. I think he'll be in the squad as long as he continues the form that he's shown over the the last couple of months. He's probably been one of our best players. he's made mistakes. He's held his hands up and admitted he's made mistakes.
Yep.
I thought his interview with the England squad the other day was exceptional. He certainly did his bit for Eddie Howe by praising him and saying that his development is down to him and his coaching staff, and that he had a lot to learn when he came to Newcastle. People couldn't understand why he wasn't playing, but he's delighted that he's done that, and there's no better person than Eddie Howe to do that and coax things out of people. So he got some brownie points certainly from Eddie Howe, but I just thought the way that he spoke prior to the Champions League game was great as well. And he's a realist. He said, I've played against some of the best players in the world over the last few weeks. He says, I've played against Lamau 4 times. I've played against Salah. I've played against I've played against so many of the best players. And he's essentially now he's learning each game. So yeah, I think out of the rest of the lads who got selected by England, I think Lewis Hall probably will get a call up as well. But he didn't mention either of those mapping players.
It is going to be interesting to see who Thomas Tuchel ends up going with. As for Australians, we seemingly win with the most boring style of football as well. That's going to be fun to watch as well. Expect a 7 at the back the way Australia plays. That's how we seem to line up. But it's good to see Lucas Harrington, a young 18-year-old, just turned 18 last month, lads, getting his debut for the Socceroos on Friday. He's in the MLS, one to watch there as well. And I think there'll be a lot of clubs looking at him. He's a big, big lad for an 18-year-old, and he's got a big, bright future ahead of him as well. Lads, we are without club football. It's been a sorry weekend, obviously, and I just want to get some predictions in for the end of the season. We've got 7 games to go. The time is now. Can Newcastle find a way back into European spot? That's the question. Can Middlesbrough get promoted automatically, first or second? Can Sunderland finish in the top half of the Premier League season on their return? Those are the questions. If you are in the chat watching this back, make sure you leave a comment down below on what your thoughts are. Who do I go to first? Steve.
Newcastle. I think Newcastle will get into a European position. I think Newcastle will probably finish 7th or 8th this season. I think we will have a bit of a sting in our tail when we come back. Players are coming back. We've got although Botman is now out and will be out for a couple of weeks now, and probably not play at the back end of the season after receiving that bad injury against Sunderland. Yeah, he will be back for the last couple of games. I think Fabian Schär's return will certainly help with the back four, but also the fact that Bruno, Lewis Miley, and Tonali will all be back for the next game. I think that's massive. Tonali, Bruno, and Joe Linton in the midfield is what we needed, and I'm sure I'll have for the run-in. And Lewis Miley coming back in gives us something at right back as well. We're back four's being bolstered, we're centre midfield's being bolstered, and hopefully we'll go on a little run. But yeah, seventh at the highest, 8th I think at the lowest, but I think we'll certainly be in the top 10. Will we finish above Sunderland? It depends how Sunderland have their run in. I don't know. It's not a be all and end all for me. Of course, that would be the perfect hat trick for Sunderland if they can do the double over us and finish above us in their first season back in the Premier League. That's like winning a trophy to Sunderland, and it's embarrassing for Newcastle. But yeah, I genuinely think that we'll finish in a European position. But I won't make a prediction about finishing above Sunderland. I predicted we'd win 3-0 last week, so what do I know?
Eddie boy, I mean, that's a great question to pose to you instead of obviously wanting to know if you think you'll finish in the top half. I actually think you will. The question I want to pose to you, mate, is will you finish above Newcastle United this season?
That's a tough one, mate. It really is. We need players back from injury, and that's not just me making excuses. Obviously, we gave a very good account of ourselves last weekend, but we can't do that all the time. With a fully fit squad, I think we could get enough points to do it. I do genuinely think we could. It's whether we get those lads back from injury. That's what it's all going to hinge on. Will we get top 10? Absolutely. Do I think Newcastle will finish in the European spots? I think they're good enough for an 8th position, which means we'd finish in 7th. We'll both go to Europe. I mean, that'd be lovely, wouldn't it? I'll tell you what, if Newcastle gets 7th or 8th, I'm sure that means that, that you start to play the Cypriot teams. We could see Steve Wraith coming to Cyprus for European football. I'd be absolutely loving that. Love that.
Great. I can't wait to meet Stelios.
He's a little legend. He's missed me, honestly. He's been horrendous. He's been absolutely horrendous. He's missed his start. I've already said about Borough, mate. I absolutely think Borough are going up, and which means this show next season is just going to be absolutely brilliant.
Oh, it's going to be
not
fantastic.
that it isn't anyway. I'm not saying it's shite now.
I think Middlesbrough can do it as well. I honestly think that somehow, some way, we're going to be able to stay in that second position. And I think us and Coventry go up. And I think we leave the playoffs to the rest of them to figure out. Because I honestly think Kim Hellberg will find us a way through these next 7 games. And I just don't think the other teams will perform well enough to catch us and knock us out of our perch. So we have got 7 games to go. It is massive, massive end to the season for all 3 Northeast football teams. Will Newcastle find Europe again? Will Sunderland finish above Newcastle? Will Middlesbrough find a way back to the promised land? The only way to ride that journey is with us right here on Three's a Crowd, the only Northeast football podcast. We are Newcastle, Middlesbrough and Sunderland every single week. We love each and every one of you. Thank you for over 400 of you tuning in live. And if you are watching it back, please check out... That's the masses there clapping for Ted's arrival back. We will see you all next weekend. We wish you all a happy Easter. We might be here for obviously for the Easter long weekend. I think we will be. We will. Well, there you go. Steve's locked it in, the boss. We will be here next weekend. We will see you all. We will look back at the Middlesbrough game against Millwall. We'll look ahead into, obviously, no football for Newcastle or Sunderland. They have got an extended break after the international break. We'll probably look back at that England result, not that anyone cares, or we'll be watching it. And we will do it all once again right here on Three's a Crowd. Thank you so much. We have been Three's a Crowd, the only Northeast football podcast. It's bye for now.
Three's a Crowd podcast will return. That's not a threat. It's a promise.